Good evening and welcome to the International Center of Photography's first ever virtual Infinity Awards. Please welcome the Executive Director of the International Center of Photography, Mark Lubell.
Hello everyone, my name is Mark Lubell. I'm the Executive Director of the International Center of Photography, and welcome to the 36th annual, this year virtual, Infinity Awards. We are honoring outstanding achievement in photography and visual arts. I'd like to thank you all so much for coming out tonight or staying at home this evening and supporting ICP. We could not do this without you. ICP is a physical school and a physical museum and a physical collection, but we are also a global community. In 1974, Cornel Capa, brother of famed photojournalist Robert Capa, founded ICP to preserve the legacy of concerned photography, socially and politically minded images that had the power to educate and possibly change the world. Cornel really was onto something about photography and image making, as he understood that images were a universal language and everybody could understand it. So if you're going to make change, use a language that everyone is speaking. Well, today we find ourselves in a global pandemic, and it is images that we are using to help connect, to document, and to try to make sense of this extraordinary moment that we are all living through. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that we just built a whole new building that's taken us 20 years. So when we reopen, we are going to use all of our platforms, our school, our museum, our collection, to continue the important dialogues of concerned photography. And now, I'd like to welcome our host this evening, esteemed journalist and WABC TV anchor, Sade Berenois. She is a long-standing supporter of the Infinity Awards, and I know all of us are watching her nightly as she does her important reporting.
And thank you so much for that generous intro, Mark. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for tuning in tonight. As a global community, we're now facing this unprecedented global crisis together. Now more than ever, photography connects us all. And we so appreciate you joining us tonight as we celebrate our incredible 2020 Infinity Award honorees and raise the critical funding we need to support all of ICP's programming, from our world-class exhibitions to the full range of educational offerings at every level. And speaking of joining us tonight, we'd love for you to join us in sharing a selfie this evening. So grab your cell phone. We want to see your beautiful face. And maybe we'd like to see your outfits, even if you are wearing slippers. And if you post a selfie photo or video to Instagram with the hashtag Infinity Awards, we'll be able to see you, and we'll be sharing it on ICP's own Instagram account. So don't forget to follow along with the hashtag as well to be able to see your fellow guests and hopefully feel just a little bit more connected during these unprecedented times. Now I'd like to introduce the chair of ICP Board of Trustees, Carol Englander. And we thank her for her leadership and support and all she has done to make the dream of ICP's new home a reality. Carol?
Thank you, Sade. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight for the Infinity 2020. We're really excited to be able to have put this together. It took a lot of effort, but we really didn't want to miss another year. We have such incredibly impressive, accomplished honorees this evening. So sit back and enjoy what we have to present for you. Maybe it's not so bad. You're in the comfort of your home. You didn't have to fight traffic to get here, and you didn't even have to get dressed. So thanks again for joining. I also want to thank my Board of Trustees, because this has not been easy, as you all know, and most of us have rolled up our sleeves to work harder, to show our commitment to New York City, and to make sure we have programs that we're creating and that we will be bigger and stronger when we come back after the pandemic settles down. We are really proud of our new building and hope to re-invite you there when we can all get out. Sit back and enjoy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Carol. My name is Jeffrey Rosen, and I am the president of ICP's Board of Trustees. Tonight is a great example of the challenging times in which we live. Nothing more challenging to me than trying to make this video. Fortunately for me, my wife has been very helpful in making sure it gets done. Tonight's Infinity Awards are virtual. They're an example of one way in which ICP is adapting to the challenges of these times that I just mentioned. We use online virtual experiences to extend the reach of our exhibition programs and our education programs to an even larger audience. Tonight, we honor excellence in photography and the photographers and storytellers who have achieved it. They've achieved it through storytelling, they've achieved it through creativity, and they've achieved it through the courage of their convictions and the risks that they're willing to take to make their art form. We honor photographers in the earlier stages of their careers and in the later stages. And once again, we especially honor the photojournalists. These are people who risk their lives to shed light on truth and to throw light on critical issues and raise our awareness of them. They're an important part of society today. Carol and I thank you all for joining us tonight and for supporting ICP. And we especially honor the staff of ICP, whose persistence and whose courage in these times helps to make ICP what it is, an important force for truth and for showing the world to a large audience of people. Thank you. Now back to Mark.
And now I'd like to thank our Infinity co-chairs, Marjorie Rosen, Judith Bookbinder, and Michael Clinton for their amazing generosity and leadership. We would not be able to have this successful event without them, and thank you so much. So now, collectively at home, let's all give them a round of applause. Thank you.
And we are beyond grateful for the Hearst Corporation sponsorship and to Harbor Studio for producing tonight's captivating films. And please stay tuned after the films for special greetings from past Infinity Award honorees and photographers from around the world. Throughout my career, I have explored the power of storytelling and image making. The films you're about to see truly showcase the groundbreaking work of our honorees and their unwavering dedication to sharing their unique stories. This award recognizes a team that pioneered visual history with something truly groundbreaking. The 1619 Project by the New York Times Magazine commemorates the 400th anniversary of the start of American slavery. Our 2020 online platform and new media honoree uses multimedia editorial initiatives that catalog the legacy of slavery in contemporary American society, as well as the contributions of Black Americans in actualizing the founding ideals of democracy, liberty, and equality. It has truly sparked an overdue reckoning with how the story of America is told and has radically reframed how millions of Americans understand their own history. Tonight, we're pleased to present the online platform and new media award to the 1619 Project.
They say our people were born on the water. The teal eternity of the Atlantic Ocean had severed them so completely that it was as if nothing had ever existed before, that everything they ever knew had simply vanished from the earth. You can look across modern American life, America today, and see that almost nothing is untouched by the legacy of slavery. Of course, the easy ones are things like the criminal justice system, where we know Black Americans are disproportionately represented. But what we don't think about is that slavery and the anti-Black racism that comes out of it has also led us to be the most carceral nation in the world. Why don't we have universal health care? Why do we have the shortest maternity leave, lowest minimum wage, lowest labor union membership? Support for social safety net programs declines amongst white voters if they think large numbers of Black people will benefit from them. Highway systems in areas that had significant numbers of Black Americans were largely designed to divide white communities off from Black communities. Our legal system is rife with laws that explicitly discriminated against Black Americans and now in many ways implicitly. We have to tell the truth. And I think this country owes a great debt to Black Americans because Black people have been the true perfecters of democracy. Black people were the original abolitionists. Black people who are coming out of slavery are pushing for America's first civil rights law, which gets passed in 1866. Black Americans are being drafted and volunteering to go to war and then coming back home and fighting for democracy here in America. With the second civil rights movement in the 60s, these laws are not just saying you cannot discriminate against Black Americans. They're saying you can't discriminate against anyone based on their race, nationality, gender, or based on their national origin. Black people also, because of our unique circumstance, created the only truly original American culture here: jazz, blues, gospel, and hip hop. Black slang becomes this universal language of cool. The 1619 Project is a massive endeavor by the New York Times to fundamentally reshape the way that we see the American story. What does it mean to be a country that was actually based on slavery? What would it mean for us if we consider 1619 our true origin and not 1776? That you can't separate these two the way that we have been taught both in history and in the American mind. It is a part of who we are. When I pitched the project, I knew, and really everyone working on the project knew, that it was important that the descendants of American slavery be the main people who were telling this story. Part of this getting to the truth of America was to take control of the narrative. To be able to produce something that in some ways counters so much of the history of the way that the New York Times told these stories in the past, and to take the reins of an institution that for much of its history helped with the marginalization of Black Americans, and to tell this story here. I think everyone understood how important that was.
I can't think of any project that we've undertaken since I've been here that had more intrinsic importance than what we were working on with this project. We wanted this issue and these ideas to reach as many people as possible.
So we did that with an entire special issue of the magazine. There was a special broadsheet, a podcast, thinking about what they went through. And we've been doing live events.
We didn't stop there, though, printing hundreds of thousands of extra copies of the issue, aggressively distributing in communities and to readers who are not customary recipients of the New York Times Magazine.
When we published it, I had no idea how it would land into the world. It caused me a great deal of anxiety, and I understood very strongly that if it published and no one cared, it would make it that much harder for the next Black or brown person behind me to pitch something really ambitious and get the green light. All of a sudden, I started seeing all of the social traffic, people asking, where can I get a copy? It's sold out. I've gone to 10 grocery stores and bodegas and the Starbucks, and I can't find it anywhere.
The New York Times Magazine is
marking 400 years since the first African...
Welcome to The Daily Show.
All of that was surprising to me.
Now, she's a staff writer for the New York Times Magazine and author of the 1619 Project.
The way that educators have embraced the project has been really, truly shocking and really the most fulfilling thing to me. We know that it's being taught in every state. There are 7 school districts that have made it mandatory high school curriculum. And I remember the first time I gave a talk at a high school in Chicago, and this young man wrote his own essay in response to my American democracy essay. And afterwards, he came up and told me that he had never felt like he could call himself an American before, and now he feels like he can. Sorry. I just think about how demeaned I felt as a child by what we were taught. And if this project can help other Black and brown children not to have to feel that way, then I will have done far more than I ever thought possible. So we are as American or more American than anyone else. No one has a right to deny us that. We certainly shouldn't deny it of ourselves.
So powerful, so necessary. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Hannah-Jones and Jake Silverstein from the remarkable 1619 Project team.
I am so honored to accept the ICP Infinity Award on behalf of the 1619 Project. The 1619 Project was truly an experience of a lifetime, and it came together through a collaborative effort of some of the nation's greatest writers, artists, and photographers. And what we produced was something that we hoped would really do justice to the experience of 400 years in this country and the legacy of slavery in modern American life. So we are very grateful to receive this type of recognition of the work and wish we could all be together tonight, but it doesn't make our gratitude any less. Thank you.
The 1619 Project is the kind of thing that comes along only very rarely in an editor's life. An opportunity to do something truly enormous with profound consequences for society that will last for decades after publication. That opportunity was created by the incomparable Nicole Hannah-Jones, the visionary leader of this great work. But like every single one of our big magazine efforts, it was brought into actual, tangible existence by our design and photo teams. They are the ones who issue after issue take our big ideas, which are sometimes a little bit half-baked, I must admit, and turn them into polished things, both in print and digitally, that readers everywhere can enjoy and understand. The incredible creative vision that design director Gail Bickler and director of photography Kathy Ryan bring to every issue of the magazine have solved a million problems over the years and created innumerable masterpieces. So I'm really happy that tonight's award highlights the visual excellence of the 1619 Project. Gail and Kathy have been an incredible team for many years, but they also each run stellar visual departments with truly exceptional designers and photo editors. Gail's art director, Ben Grangenet, created the look of the 1619 Project, and her digital art director, Kate LaRue, made it magnificent online. Meanwhile, Deb Bishop, the art director of NYT Mag Labs, made the wonderful special broadsheet section for the project. Kathy's deputy director of photography, Jessica Dimson, was the driving force behind many of the photo assignments in the issue. Bravo to them all. This award is for you guys. I also want to quickly credit the photographers, artists, and illustrators who made such wonderful visual contributions to the issue. Daniela Bowman, Geneva Aduyam, Adam Pendleton, Lyle Ashton Harris, Zora Murph, Spencer Lowell, John Key, Brian Ulrich, Michael Paul Brito, Diana Ehaita, Hamza Diaz, and D'Angelo Lovell Williams. Lastly, I want to once again credit Nicole, as well as Elena Silverman and Caitlin Roper, two incredible editors who saw this project through with wisdom, insight, patience, and a truly astonishing capacity to get big things done. A project of this magnitude is only possible through collective effort, everybody recognizing the importance of the work and pushing together to make something great. Congratulations and many thanks to all the many people who made it happen. Thank you.
And moving on to our second award of the evening. Based in Manila, her photography, both visceral and intimate, explores how resilience is embodied in daily life. Tonight, we honor Hannah Reyes Morales, our 2020 Documentary Practice and Visual Journalism recipient.
Photography is a way of listening, not just with your ears, but with your eyes, with your heart, with your entire being. It's my way of putting a face to the statistics. It's my way of asking questions. Photography's been my language. I grew up in the messy bits of Manila, in a house with about a dozen people. The confines of my world were within the four corners of that home. You take care of other people in order to take care of your own loved ones at home. To me, that's very central to being Filipino. I came up in a time where photography was really going digital. I could see these great works and great canons, but I would see it from the broken screen of my cell phone, or, whatever shitty laptop screen I had. And I could imagine that there might be space for my work there too. When the big typhoons hit, women and girls wind up being displaced into the sex trade in the Philippines. Many of these women who've lost their homes were now taking shelter in these brothels, trying to rebuild their homes, quite literally with their bodies. We met this woman, Jojo. She said one night with a foreigner might be able to afford you hollow blocks for your house. Another night might help you replace the roof. People prey upon vulnerability. A lot of them are mothers, and they have to provide for their children. There's not a lot of ways in which you can create opportunities for yourself, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how hard you work. You have to honor their path as they are letting you into their space and into their lives. November 1944, Japanese soldiers marched into the town of Mapanique, Pampanga. They pillaged the town. They castrated some of the men and the boys. And then they rounded up the young girls. Dozens of them were marched into this red house where they were held and they were repeatedly raped for days. In the 1990s, a group of these women gathered together and they decided to tell their stories, demanding some sort of justice. And they haven't gotten anything yet. Of the approximately 90 women who came out, 27 of them are still alive. They also still live within a few kilometers from the house where they were held. And most of them have to go back and see it all the time, when they're just going through their day. The house where they were held is now overgrown with vines. A lot of them are growing gardens above this land that is laced with trauma. Roots from Ashes is really about how they rebuilt their town. What they went through isn't at all being honored in terms of history. It's being actively pushed aside. I wanted to understand intergenerational trauma, and I found that interaction with these grandmothers to be truly one of the more formative moments, not necessarily in photography, but just in myself as a person and in understanding my own history and in understanding the history of what really happened past what we learn in school. What I've always loved about photography is the visibility that it can give people. To see a certain issue that might not have a presence in their consciousness until a photograph enters. Photography has given me a way to raise my voice, to contend with the things that matter to me. And the more I do it, the more I realize how little I know and how limited my vantage point really is.
Wow, truly powerful and inspiring work. Please welcome Hannah Reyes Morales.
Thank you so much to ICP for this incredible honor. I hope everybody is keeping safe. It is already surreal to be given this honor, and far stranger to attempt to make sense of it now, but I'm glad of any opportunity to practice gratitude. It is a privilege to be given an award in documentary practice, a field that I always thought belonged to people who didn't look like me, by an institution that felt out of reach. My photographic education was scraped together through books, the internet, and most importantly, through people. I'd like to thank all the safe hands that made being a photographer possible. To my mother and to Nanay, for all the stories you told me as a child, for filling my life with real tales. To my best friend Kata, for having been the first person outside of my household to pay attention to my stories. To my partner John, thank you. To all the editors who first believed in me and who've shown me incredible amounts of patience and care. To Jen, Mallory, Miko, and Carly, thank you. To the reporters I've worked with, Aurora, Rupert, Ian, Denise, thank you. To Laurel, to Malin, to Daniela, Eloisa, Jarek, and Erica, the communities that are Women Photograph, Diversify, and National Geographic Society, thank you. The best thing anyone has ever done has been to look at me and where I am from, and to see me as an equal. I do not say it lightly when I say it is a privilege to be given this honor. I've only gotten here when people used their own to not only give me space, but also the right tools to make sure that I am ready. Most importantly, I am here because the people who have far less allowed me to sit with them in their homes with my camera. I am thinking of them amidst this time. May we keep honoring them and their stories, now and for the years to come. Amidst this difficult time, I find that looking through the eyes of others has been of great value. It reminded me of how much we need each other, to live and to see. When we cannot be physically together, I am grateful for images that allow me to keep close. In an unprecedented time, we are telling the stories of our diverse experiences around a shared story, reminding each other that we are not alone. Thank you and take care.
And before we continue, I hope that those of you at home are enjoying your dinners delivered by our fabulous collaborators, Creative Edge Parties. I'd also like to thank those of you who donated additional meals to be delivered to frontline healthcare workers. With your help, we were able to feed New York City healthcare workers who risk their lives every single day for our health and safety. And we cannot possibly express our gratitude for frontline workers enough. You are all the true heroes of this fight against COVID-19. We will remember your bravery always. And our next award recognizes a different kind of courage and someone who is forging a new path by exploring a new standard of beauty, giving life to the uniqueness of disparate cultures. Born in Southeast London, Nadine Ijuweri's work focuses primarily on the subjects of identity and diversity. Formed by her own Nigerian Jamaican background, she became the first woman of color to shoot a cover for Vogue in the magazine's then 125-year history. Tonight, we honor Nadine as the 2020 Applied Honoree.
For me, beauty is, I think it comes from within those imperfections or those things that aren't seen as stereotypically beautiful. And I love turning those things on its head and then capturing that and then showing this is something that's beautiful in its own way. I never really saw people look like me or any of my friends. I always kind of question, well, why is that? Where have these ideas come from? And there isn't just one stereotypical type of beauty. If you're a young girl, you could feel like you don't fit in because of these certain stereotypes of these women that you're seeing on billboards. I've never sort of wanted to compromise on who I am as an artist because it's going to get me the commercial jobs. Through my editorial work and my personal projects, it's about being able to see yourself in these images. I really wanted to be able to work with a commercial luxury brand and turn it on its head. So do something different with Stella McCartney that hadn't been done before. Shoot it in Lagos, which is part of where I'm from Nigeria. Being able to go there and, you know, my experiences and how I've grown up, being able to be black and show what being black is rather than a spectator just seeing it for that. I'll always get asked a lot about being black and what does black mean to me. And it's like, yes, that's an important part of who I am, but that's not just who I am and just what I'm about. And I think it's important to have more representation within fashion. It's something that we shouldn't even have to think about, we shouldn't even have to question. I would say that I'm part of this kind of wave and the industry is changing, and I think a fashion image doesn't have to be just a static sort of image of the person kind of wearing the clothes. It can be a story. My creative vision is to take different types of people and different types of beauty and be able to photograph them in a beautiful and dynamic way. It's me looking at it as a whole and not looking at it as, oh, mixed race, gender fluid, Asian, whatever. I don't look at it like that. What we do as hairstylists, makeup photographers in the fashion industry, we think we're in this small little bubble and we don't realise the extent of where our work reaches, how it affects people. And when we were in Jamaica, there was this one woman who we were photographing her. She says, oh, these photos aren't going to end up like with some caption or something referring to us as like gorillas or like aggressive. That was a point where I was like, okay, this is so important that we're doing this project and then it needs to be seen. Growing up as a black girl, and a lot of black girls, there is this thing about your hair and how it's kind of different. Hopefully this project has encouraged young females to love their hair and love who they are. And I'm still kind of like, I can't believe that's happened because I didn't think I would be shooting any sort of Vogue cover until 20 years. I worked my way up in the industry, like maybe be given an opportunity. So much has happened in the last year that I thought would never happen. You're like, am I really here? This is really happening and it's crazy. I'm so, so grateful that I've been able to do that and I'm so, so grateful for this support. I feel really blessed to be in the position that I am in, to be able to take photographs the way I do, interpret things the way I do, and people responding to that.
And Nadine was unable to join us tonight, and we are most grateful for her contributions and stunning work. I swear it just gives you goosebumps watching some of these trailblazing photographers like Nadine, and we're going to continue to follow her bright career. And before we introduce our final honoree, we're opening up this evening to your support. As the pandemic crisis unfolded, ICP, within just a matter of days after temporarily closing on March 13th, transitioned classes online and provided virtual exhibition tours, podcasts, and playlists, continuing an engaging learning experience for all. And to be able to continue this important work, ICP needs your help. the ICP Board of Trustees is generously matching your gift, and any amount you give will have double the impact. While we know we are not alone in this challenging moment, we hope you will continue to support ICP. If you're able, please follow the link now at the bottom of the screen to donate. As most of you may have seen, the ICP community is courageously documenting the current state of COVID-19 crisis and sharing their photographs on Instagram using the hashtag ICPConcerned. Today, we are humbled by the photographers behind nearly 20,000 plus images posted using ICP Concerned. If you're documenting the global crisis, share your images today using the hashtag and join the visual history ICP is creating from a distance together. And now for the last award of the evening. I am thrilled to introduce the renowned war photographer and master of black and white photography himself, Don McCullin. Born in London in the economically depressed area of Finsbury Park, Don left school at the age of 14 following the death of his father. He worked odd jobs to support himself before joining the Royal Air Force as an aerial photography assistant. In 1961, he traveled to Berlin to witness the construction of the wall that came to symbolize the Cold War. 5 years later, he began an 18-year affiliation with the London Sunday Times magazine, covering major conflicts and battlefields all over the world, including the Congo, Vietnam, Northern Ireland, Lebanon, El Salvador, Iraq, and Syria. Now here's more about his legendary work and life.
There does come a time when you think, I deserve a break now, and I've had a good run, and now it's time to enjoy this. As a child, there was no opportunities. I lived in a pretty miserable slum tenement in North London. In those days, there were 1 million coal fires burning, creating the London smog. Might as well have put a pad over my father's face. He couldn't breathe. He was terrified to go out. He had chronic asthma. I had to watch this year in and year out until he eventually died. I wanted my father's life to mean something. The only way I can achieve that is by honoring his name. I was ready to go out there and start shouting about injustice, poverty, cruelty, and pain most of all. Bradford was one of the most poorest places on God's earth. When I walked into a room in the north of England and saw and smelt the poverty, they were the rooms I grew up in. I wasn't interested in money as a young man. I was interested in recognition. So I'd go to the next place and bring back another harvest of tragedy. There was something not totally wholesome about what I was doing. But if you're not there, the world doesn't know. I remember being in Vietnam. This was close quarter street fighting. The way the Marines operate head-on assault, they just got hammered. I saw this man sitting on the wall. So I dropped down on my knees and did 5 frames. 5 frames, they're all identical. He did not blink or look in any other direction, but right through me. When you're a young man and you're ambitious, you'll walk over broken glass with bare feet to get what you want out of life. But there is a price that I wouldn't pay. The first casualty I saw was a Marine who'd been hit in the face with a bullet. And I brought my camera up to my eye, and his eyes were saying, no, no. He was trying to move his head in the slowest way because of the agony. He was pleading with me not to take that picture. And of course I didn't. I'm a photographer, I'm a human being. I'm watching this grotesque moment, this absurd, grotesque moment. What good is it going to do if I take a picture? Photography doesn't belong to you. I'm often at war with myself, on trial with myself. You're supposed to be looking out there, but it's all coming in here, not into the camera. Who the bloody hell are you? What are you doing? You're like some invisible ghost that's there with no apparent reason. So you can see the psychology and the pressure. And I didn't go mad. Isn't that amazing? I didn't go mad. I kind of came back to Somerset, got cured. I have turned my attention to enjoying the last bit of my life by doing the landscapes around this house we're sitting in. It's become almost a therapy for me to go out and stand in those fields and try to erase the memory of the appalling tragedies I've seen for the last 65 years. I'm in love. I'm kind of exuding passion, and I'm thirsty for the love of the landscape and the energy. It's if you're eating the best thing you've ever tasted, or you're embracing the most beautiful woman you've ever embraced. That is a recipe for mightiness, you know. I've struggled all my life with this guilt that I survived. And the chip I've had on my shoulder has always been for the victims in my photographs. I've always wanted to take their side and represent them. I've always wanted to be their voice. I've often thought to myself, you haven't succeeded. The world hadn't changed. I'm overcoming my defeat as best I can, really.
From the UK, please welcome 2020 Lifetime Achievement recipient Don McCullin.
I would just like to thank everybody for this extraordinary award, because personally, I've always thought that the home of photography was always America. And I feel as if, that as a European, I've finally been accepted. The other thrilling thing about it was that during the Six-Day War in June 1967, when the Israelis captured Jerusalem, I had the pleasure of meeting Colonel Kappa. And I always thought Colonel was a man of great inspiration. I always believed in him. I always respected him. And so sadly he's not here. I still feel that being awarded this honor by ICP makes me feel as if I'm part of the family of American photography, which I've always thought was the true home of photography. And to finally be accepted makes me feel really honored. So thank you everybody very much. I'm sad that I'm not there with you this evening, but I can't tell you how thrilling it is for me personally to be chosen for this award. Have a lovely evening. Good night to you all.
And congratulations again, Don. And thank you, ICP, for having me host. I've never done this virtually before, so this is definitely a first for me. I can't wait to see you all in person. Now, I'm going to throw it back over to Executive Mark Lubell to close out the night.
Well, we've made it to the end of our first ever virtual Infinity Awards. Thank you so much for tuning in and for your support of ICP. We could not do this without you. And a huge congratulations to our 2020 Infinity Award honorees. Their work continues to demonstrate the importance of storytelling and the power of the image, especially in times of crisis. And finally, we're going to get a few words from our friends around the globe. Thank you so much. Good night.
Hey, Nadia Hallgren here. I am an alumni of ICP at the Point and the director and cinematographer of the Michelle Obama documentary, Becoming. Thank you, ICP, for bringing our beautiful community together.
Our images speak to our experiences and remind us that being here matters. Join me in congratulating this year's winners.
To give a big shout out to ICP and their Infinity Awards.
It is so well deserved, and this is such an amazing recognition of your work.
It is more important than ever to document the world and to express our creativity in new ways.
I really hope that you all enjoy your time with this 2020 Infinity Award, especially Nicole and the 1619 Project. Take care.
So happy to be part of this event, and congratulations to all the winners.
I hope you're all staying safe. Congratulations on the Infinity Awards, and I hope to see you all very soon at the new ICP.
This is Martin Parr. I'm here in Bristol, and we're in the lockdown as well. And greetings to the ICP Award night. It's great that you're doing it virtually rather than in person. It's good that it's continuing.
And I also wanted to say a huge congratulations to this year's Infinity Award winners. I hope you're enjoying this evening and that you're staying happy and healthy. Congratulations again. Bye-bye.